Josh Valencia, and we're gonna mix the vocals for I'm Alright. The way I like to start doing vocals is by working with having basically the music, all the other instruments kind of done, and then interweaving the vocal into the song with a combination of compression, automation, and reverb and some effects when appropriate. So we're gonna start off by just listening to the music that we're gonna lay this all under. Okay, that's just like we left it before. Nothing has changed. So first thing we're gonna do is make sure that the vocals, we're gonna check them out before I did anything. I'm just gonna solo them for now.
I know the season's ripe for change. It's changing all around. I know the reasons you've arranged. They're tearing me down. Where is the peacefulness of mine?
So first, right off the bat, we could hear there's some room in the recording, which is fine. Just natural room sound. We could hear that the vocal is present in the recording.
I know the season's ripe for change.
It's audible. There's nice balance. It sounds natural. So there's not really much in terms of fixing that we need to do. Now we're just gonna get it to fit in the mix. For vocals, I love the V-Comp, the Waves V-Comp. It's a great sounding compressor, limiter, kind of my all-around vocal. And I did use the lead vocal setting with some tweakages. I used this top part like in 1176, just tweaked with the input and output in terms of what I'm feeding it. It has a variable ratio, which is nice. Tweaked that, left it at 3:1. Attack is pretty basic, fast and slow, not much in terms of choice there. And this is for the limiter section. And then the release, I left it at auto. Analog, again, is the hiss. Not sure if we can hear it, but it is audible when you get a bunch of these going at once. It's pretty intense. And then there's the compressor section, again, left it at 3:1. De-esser is on. It's very soft. There's no control for the frequency that you're de-essing, so it just kind of, I don't really know, and to be honest, I don't care, because it sounded good enough for what I needed it to do. And plus the vocal itself isn't terribly sibilant either. And then I just left the release to auto. So if we want to give this a listen, the meter's showing gain reduction, so we could just look at that, see what it's doing.
I know the season's ripe for change.
So right off the bat, it just tore up that breath.
I know the season's ripe for change. It's changing all around. I know the reasons you've arranged. They're tearing me down.
You could tell when he hit that tearing me down, it really kind of flattened it out.
They're tearing me down. They're tearing me down.
So it kind of got the dynamics of how it was being sung, kind of squished them together. This is good for this particular track. It is a poppier song. It isn't a solo vocal piece. So we like to kind of get everything tight together. It is kind of squashing it in some spots.
I know the season's ripe for change. It's changing all around.
Also working pretty quickly, so I did like that. So that's the compressor setting. Then let's jump into Pro Q. In the mixing process, when I heard it in context, it sounded a little boxy. So this is my boxy frequency. We're gonna solo it just to listen to it.
I know the season's ripe for change. It's changing all around. I know the reasons you've arranged. They're tearing me down.
That frequency, that boxiness, I really, really, really don't like it. It lives in that 400 to 450-ish range, and it's very obnoxious to me. I really don't like it, so I like to kind of suck it out. It adds this weird boxy feeling that I just don't like in vocals. So let's listen to it again.
I know the season's ripe for change.
Just focusing on the
changing all around.
See that?
I know the reasons you've arranged. It's tearing me down. Where is the peacefulness of my?
And then high pass. And that's just sub that I don't need to.
I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left of me. I'm alright being away from you.
Let's listen to it without.
I know the season's ripe for change. It's changing all around.
So yeah, it makes it sound a little thinner, but it kind of cuts in the mix really nicely. So let's kind of unsolo this and let's leave these muted.
I know the season's ripe for change. It's changing all around. I know the reasons you've arranged. They're tearing me down.
So as you can tell, it's kind of sitting in the mix in a place where it's not overbearing. It's also not super low where you can't make out the words. I like it because exactly why I said I'm not going to repeat myself. Another thing I did is I added a plate reverb to the voice, to the vocal, 16% mix, and it does this weird funny thing. But there, 16% mix.
I know the season's ripe for change. It's changing all around. I know the reasons you've arranged. They're tearing me down. Where is the peacefulness of mine? Where will my heart come back to life? I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left of me.
So you could tell that the vocal sits in the mix. You could kind of hear other parts of the arrangement over it, some parts behind it, but you can definitely tell that it's the focal point of where the mix is right now. What I'm going to do next is just engage the harmony parts. And basically what I did to the harmony, it's the same on both. Again, V-comp, similar settings to what I had in the lead vocal. Again, less and the lead. I fed the compressor more with the input. With the backing vocal, I backed off a bit on the input, didn't give it as much to compress. And also the ratios are different, the limiting is different, and I also backed off on the output. So if we listen to the harmonies together, we can listen to how they work pretty nicely.
I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left of me. I'm alright.
Does anyone else see that? Is that weird? This isn't even soloed.
I'm alright. I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left of me. I'm alright being away from you. And I'll be fine cleaning out the corner, putting back in order. But know I will always have this too, a little piece of you. I'm alright. I'm alright. I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left of me. I'm alright being away from you.
So it looks like,
I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left of me.
Okay, another oddity in the mixing process. I didn't notice this when I was actually mixing it, which is odd. But in one of the backing vocals, you actually get the lead vocal mixed in. So I guess it made it extra thick when it kicked in. It was pretty cool. So let's listen to that. That's interesting.
I'm alright as I pick up the pieces that are left of me. I'm alright being away from you.
Alright, well, this, no wonder I didn't have to write automation. I was wondering why I was listening to the song, why everything just kind of moved that way. It looks like they doubled the lead vocal in that first backing, so when you're actually mixing the song, this will happen to you as well. But it does pop in the chorus without any automation. I don't have anything written into this song. It's kind of just steady. So it does make the chorus pop on its own, which is neat. And then the actual chorus parts, the harmony parts, we could hear them.
Being away from you, and I'll be fine cleaning out the corner, putting back in order.
And they're slightly panned, not equally panned. So one's at 28, one's at 26. Just kind of fell that way. I'm not terribly picky about stuff like that. For some reason or another, it's not wanting to get it right at 28. So that works for me.
Being away from you,
and we're gonna put the lead vox.
Being away from you.
You can kind of hear some weird sub thing. I don't think I'm nuts. I'm not hearing it alone, but
being away from you.
Don't know where that's from. I think it might be somewhere in the lead track, and I'm just compressing it out. But in the grand scheme of things in the mix, it doesn't make a huge difference. So let's give that a listen.
Being away from you. I'll be fine. Cleaning up the corner, putting back in order. No, I will always have this too, a little piece of you.
So that's basically what I did for the vocal part throughout the whole song. Like I said, there's not much automation. What I did do to kind of add some spice into the mix that was otherwise pretty sparse in terms of vocal was that I had a delay on the lead vocal and then printed the actual delay to another track and then applied Saturn to it and just gave it a nice distortion. So if we were to listen just to these two.
Could we let this slip away? It's slipping through my hands. How can the darkness blind the day? Bring back the light. Where is the pleasure in?
So I basically got Saturn, the standard. Oh no, I used a different setting this time. That's sweet. Boutique, basically an amp style. So we start off with the smooth amp up top. Let's see what that's doing up top.
Could we let this?
Let's just listen to this part here. You can barely hear that. Then the mid is where it's at.
Back the light. Back the light.
And then the low end.
Back the light. Back the light.
Barely anything down there. So.
Back the light.
And then I have that over, kind of panned over.
Where is the pleasure in the pain?
And then in context in the mix, it actually sounds pretty cool. So if I were to just bypass these.
Bring back the light. Where is the pleasure in the pain?
So you can see it's kind of set back there, but it does sound nice. And then I think I did it a couple more times over here. One thing with this kind of effect is that you don't want to overkill it. When I initially did the mix, it was like every other word, and when I went to listen to it back the next day, it was awful. I couldn't tell you how bad it made me feel because it was just like so cheesy. It was cheese-tastic, and I'm not a big fan of the cheese, so I kind of backed off. So I just kind of let it go wild after the bridge part here. You could definitely hear it there when you're listening for it. And if you want to see this how I have it, you know, minus 14.5 dB, so it's almost 10 dB lower than the lead vocal, and it's kind of tilted over there to the right. And that's basically it for vocals in terms of an arrangement. If you want to, actually, we might as well just finish this up. For the song as a whole, I have the SSL bus compressor as my glue. I'm using the CLA finalizer setting, so let's give that a listen. So this is before, obviously. Then I'm going to engage it. So you can kind of see that it's kind of just pushing in the little odds and ends and kind of making it tighter. What this compressor is doing is that if you kind of imagine it as it's kind of like a pipe that's flowing water through it, and the water is my mix. There's just a lot of water, and what I want to do is focus that water so it's just not sloshing all over the place, and I'm tightening that tube, and the water's getting a little more pressure, it's coming out a little more straight, a little more defined, and that's what I'm doing here. So if you want to just check out the settings, it should be basically what's in the CLA. I might have just increased the makeup by a hair. So that's the mix. We've gone through everything so far. This is a pretty simple mix. If you have any other comments, be sure to leave them in the comments section. And next video, we're going to go through mastering this track. Have a good one.